Hey, yo, Pro Wrestling Podcast listeners, help us out and click subscribe to show your support. And if you are a Facebook user, make sure you check out Wrestler Unstoppable, a totally free wrestling video game option. If you are sick and tired of spending $60 to $100 for the latest and greatest wrestling video game, don't do it. Stop immediately. Go to Wrestler Unstoppable exclusively through Facebook, where you can create your wrestler, sign contracts, get involved in storylines, headline pay-per-views, even build your own corporation. Be the boss. Totally included in Wrestler Unstoppable. Available now to all Facebook users. Totally free. Big announcement tonight. Our newest sponsor, the All In Show, September 1st. You can find pictures and links to the All In merchandise on frowrestling.com. Make sure you check it out. They have all sorts of merchandise available, and the card for both StarCast and All In is getting better and better by the day. What a great show this is going to be. I'm very excited, and one of the biggest news tidbits coming out of the All In / StarCast press release is that they are looking into possibly live streaming the show on various media outlets. So definitely something to keep your eyes on to see if that comes to fruition. A lot of us who can't be in Chicago would love to see the All In show. It should be an amazing lineup, and it really shows what indie wrestling is all about in 2018. Some of the best wrestling action in the world. Another plug out there real quick for SICW, Southern Illinois Championship Wrestling, their May 19th show tomorrow night. Make sure you check it out. Go to their website at sicw.org, where they're going to have a special appearance by one of my dad and my favorite old school wrestlers, Dr. D. David Schultz will be there, and there will be the Bruiser Brody Memorial Battle Royal. Check that out if you're in the Southern Illinois area. Go and get into that action. Another great independent promotion. This is a shout out to all you other smaller promotions out there. If you want your events announced on the Pro Wrestling Podcast, I would be nothing but honored to announce your shows. By all means, shoot me a message or send me an email. Get your information to me. I will reach out to you, and we want to get you guys promoted out there. I am a firm believer that we need to support indie wrestling. It is a huge, huge topic of discussion right now. The indie wrestling scene is going crazy. We want to help promote you here at the Pro Wrestling Podcast. If you want to become a member of the Pro Wrestling Podcast family and you want your name in the shoutouts, like my good buddy Harold in St. Louis, Harold is responsible for this great opportunity with SICW. Thank you, Harold, for that. You're amazing. Make sure you check out our Patreon page at patreon.com/Pro Wrestling Podcast and sign up today. So normally we have a special loyalty rewards program. Any $25 a month contributor gets to co-host an episode of Going Live with me, and normally every $10 a month contributor gets to put into a drawing to do the same. We're wiping that out for this episode. Any $10 a month contributor will get the opportunity to co-host an episode with myself of one of our live episodes. I understand tonight is a Friday night, not a Saturday, but tomorrow night I gotta go out and kill some zombies in this virtual reality zombie kill and thrill thing, and I will not be around for our normal Saturday night Going Live at 9:05 episode, but I didn't want to leave you guys hanging. And here is why. Before I do any of the news, thank you to our amazing, amazing listeners, first off, for toughening it through our last episode where I sounded like one of those aliens from the miniseries back in the 80s. My voice, my program was set to dual mics, even though I only have one mic, and for some reason it recorded my voice twice at the same time and made it sound all echoey and strange. So I apologize for that. But at the same time, my amazing listeners, you guys gave us one of the most busy traffic weeks ever. And I'm not just talking about the podcast. Yes, we had over 390 people in 2 days tune into this episode of the podcast across multiple platforms. But since that episode went live, we're now up over 600 listens to that particular track. In addition, I put out the articles that are at Infro's Corner on the Fro Wrestling website. If you've never been to Fro Wrestling Podcast before, check it out. FroWrestling.com. That's our homepage where you'll find our blog, Infro's Corner, and those articles exploded this week. So thank you to everybody out there who's reading the articles, who's tuning into the podcast episodes. You guys have made this such a genuinely enjoyable experience. This is one thing that I look forward to more more than anything every single week, and I can't thank you enough. Please spread the word. If you're on YouTube, enable notifications, subscribe, hook a brother up here. I need your help. I want to move as many subscriptions as we can so we can rank higher in the SEO so that other people can find it. If you like this show, if you appreciate what I do, and if you don't, I understand. Let me know what it is that I can do better. I want to make it better for you. But if you love the show, do me a favor. Spread the word. Put it on Facebook. Put it on Twitter. Put it on Instagram. Whatever you want. You got my permission. Put out a hit about this show because I really need all your support. In addition, I announced it last episode. If you tune in on iTunes and you give us a 5-star rating in iTunes, you're getting a special shout out on an episode for our iTunes subscribers. Welcome to this live episode. I should have said welcome a lot earlier, I suppose, but I'm having a great week. I love you guys this week. It's amazing. And I want to make sure we get to all the news. There's a lot to cover. Don't forget though, this week, wrapping up the fan voting. I let it go a little long because I had a couple people tell me they weren't going to be able to get to the fan voting yet. Round 2 of the all-time Dream Match tournament is still going on at frowrestling.com. I'm going to close the voting tonight at midnight. So get your votes in there. We've had a lot of response this week. Thank you all, you loyal listeners, for that. And if you have questions, you have comments, anything you want in on this episode, that is awesome. Please do that. I already know that Harold is on the line. He's in touch with me right now. Harold's giving me some great information that he'd like me to include in the show. I'll make sure I get to that first. But if you want to get in, if you tune in through Spreaker, through our website at frowrestling.com, or any of the other chat function enabled social media sites when you listen to the podcast, give us your questions and comments. If they pop up live, I will make sure we include you in the episode and give you your shout out immediately if you want to be a part of the conversation on a live episode of the Fro Wrestling Podcast. If you are a little more on the shy side, and let's face it, some people are, they don't like to sound off on the live feed. Go to the Fro Wrestling Sound Off line, 267-642-1160, where you can give us your questions, your comments, all throughout the week. And it's a talk-to-text service. You talk, they text it to me, and I will address any of your questions in a future live episode. And if you give me your name along with the message, because there is no caller ID there, it just pops up a number. Give me your name. I will give you a shout-out in the episode for sending us your great, great questions. Don't forget to head over to that homepage of the Fro Wrestling Podcast, because on there you find out all the topics that we're going to discuss in all of our episodes, so you can prepare some of those questions ahead of time. Or if you see breaking news and you want me to cover it, give me the shout out. Let me know what you see, and I will make sure I get your comments, your questions, or any of your own breaking news into one of our episodes. Just want to address this right away. Harold sent me a message already. There's a new article out. This one is on Ringside News talking about WWE reportedly losing interest in the entire tag team division. And that's a scary prospect. I don't know anybody who was tuning into the Infro's Corner articles. I just did an article on underappreciated tag teams. That WWE has so much depth at the tag team roster, but they focus their energy only on 2, 3, 4 teams at a time, and all the other ones, there's no love for these super talented, underrated tag teams. People like Breezango, people like the Colognes, people like up until now, the Bludgeon Brothers, the Ascension, people like that. You got to give some love to people who can go in the ring. I'll even go there. I'll go to the Ascension, for example. The Revival is another big one, but I'll go to the Ascension for a specific reason. The Ascension and NXT look great. They did a great job. And then what happens is they come up to the main roster. They're in front of a lot more eyes. People compare them to the Road Warriors. They want to be cheap knockoffs or whatever, and people are very critical. Like, no one is ever supposed to wear face paint or spikes again because the Road Warriors did it. I'm not trying to be rude here, but the Road Warriors haven't wrestled as a tag team in a very long time. I think 2003? How much time has to pass before somebody isn't trying to be a knockoff version? They're trying to pay homage to a legendary tag team. On that same line of thinking, though, when they were wrestling in NXT, they were given the time to perform, and they looked amazing. They come to the main roster, they're squashed all the time. If anybody noticed anything, when you watched that greatest Royal Rumble pay-per-view in Saudi Arabia, both members looked great. Looked great, especially Connor. He looked amazing in the ring. He could be a singles 205 Live Cruiserweight champion right now. He just doesn't get any time. So I'm thrilled that Harold sent this to me, because to me, that's an alarming thing. You know? There's a quote here that says, "I think they've decided that nobody involved in the tag team division is worth their time, and they're not going to invest into it because they don't think it makes them any money." And that's that. That's a quote from Ringside News. Steve Carrier is the gentleman who published this article. And that's scary. And the worst part is if you look at what we've seen for the last several months from WWE, it really doesn't surprise me a whole lot. So thank you again, Harold, for sending in that. That is awesome. I appreciate it. Going to get into the other news of the night. We have so much to talk about. The Raw Women's Championship match at Money in the Bank has been determined, and there's a lot of outcry about how horrible this is. Ronda Rousey will be facing Nia Jax. Now, here's the thing. They set it up in a good way, so to speak. They had this presser going on, and you have Ronda Rousey there, Nia Jax is there, Charlotte is there. I don't know why the SmackDown and Raw stars were all there. But whatever the situation is, Nia Jax issues a challenge to Rousey because she has a obligatory championship defense at Money in the Bank. First off, I don't think I've ever heard a champion say that. So it's something that is new to the ears of the fans. Then you have Ronda Rousey, who is not an actress. I don't care how many movies she's been in. She's not an actress. She can't pull off the shock and awe of being challenged by Nia Jax. There is no build up to this match ahead of this. It's just something that we're going to go with. So the issue I have here is a lot of people are complaining that Ronda Rousey hasn't had any singles matches. Why does she get a championship match? That's an easy cover. Nia Jax respects her MMA career and wants to go right for who she considers to be the toughest woman in the division. I got no problem with that. My concern is we haven't seen enough of Ronda Rousey in the ring in general. I don't care if it's singles or tag team matches or just interview segments. She's not on the show enough, and they hyped up to us that she was going to be a focal point of the company, and she hasn't been other than a few scant appearances. Put on an arm bar and take a drop kick from Mickie James. That sounds great, but there's no action. If Braun Strowman was standing outside ringside and had his back turned and somebody drop kicked him off the apron, we would see him come out and destroy the entire roster for the next 4 weeks, because that's what a true tough person does. They don't stand around and say, okay, yeah, I'll fight you in 3 months. No. It's making Ronda Rousey look weak. And the worst part is, and this is another line from the preview for those who go to FroWrestling.com, is that her schedule is now different. So when they were heading into the current United Kingdom tour, this European tour, Ronda Rousey was slated to wrestle Mickie James in singles matches, but she has changed. They are now putting her in tag team matches. Now the word is that they're doing this because Ronda Rousey is not yet ready for the pressure of being a singles female star. Then how in heaven's name do you put her in a singles match for the Raw Women's Championship at Money in the Bank, one of the more popular pay-per-views of the year, if she's not even comfortable being in a singles match at a glorified house show? That's a problem. That is a lack of creative juices flowing. Where's Bayley? Where's Sasha? One of the two of them, they should have feuded. One of them should have emerged, and one of them should be challenging Nia Jax right now. If you're not going to go that route, there's a plethora of other choices in the women's division right now who would make a much better opponent for Nia Jax than putting in a completely inexperienced and what it sounds like somewhat scared Ronda Rousey to carry the female load. I'm not knocking her work. I thought she blew people's expectations out of the water at WrestleMania. However, you gotta invest more time in the ring if you expect to carry the brand. Now, the other conversation related to this match is that it's not a situation where they're trying to put the championship on Ronda Rousey. However, they also don't want to bury her momentum. So, the conversation is about Nia Jax turning heel as somewhat of a enforcer for Stephanie McMahon. Remember, McMahon got hurt at WrestleMania. There really hasn't been any talk of it since WrestleMania, that little tidbit right after. But we haven't heard anything from Stephanie in weeks. If she is the one putting Nia Jax out there and then costs Ronda Rousey the match, it would have to be a disqualification and Ronda gets her hand raised or something of that nature, some kind of schmoz ending to turn Nia Jax heel and get revenge for Stephanie McMahon because Stephanie's not tough enough to do it herself. If that's what you're going for, I'm fine. But here's the short-sightedness of WWE booking. Where do you go from there? She wrestled Stephanie McMahon at WrestleMania, be it in a tag match, doesn't matter. Are you going to put Stephanie in a singles match at SummerSlam? Probably not. So Nia turns heel and attacks her as the advocate or the enforcer of Stephanie McMahon. So now where does that go? Do you have a return match at SummerSlam? That doesn't make any sense either. If you're not trying to put Ronda Rousey over Nia Jax, and you're also not trying to pin or defeat Ronda Rousey yet, you booked yourself into a corner, because you can't have these two go to Money in the Bank, wrestle, have this schmaz ending, Nia Jax turn heel, and Ronda Rousey maintain her momentum, and then not have them have a rematch. That doesn't make even a little bit of sense. That's got makes about as much sense as going all the way back to 1990 or 91 or whatever it was, WrestleMania 6, when Hogan and Warrior wrestled each other, had probably the Warrior's best match of his career, and then never had a rematch. Of course, until that dumpster dive of a match in WCW. But the reality is, when you have a great match like that, you have to have a rematch. The fans are clamoring for a rematch. Conversely, if you're AJ Styles and Shinsuke Nakamura, the fans see the garbage that somebody's been booking. And I know I'm not trying to jump on the road dog. I'm not. I saw this week he was out on Twitter and he was responding to people complaining about his booking of the Nakamura and AJ Styles feud. I get it. He's trying to keep a job and he's trying to do right by Vince McMahon's wishes and all that stuff. But he's not stupid. He's a wrestling fan as well as a performer, as well as a booker and a road agent. And at this point, you can't tell me that anybody in the back at Raw or SmackDown or in WWE in general is satisfied with the way this AJ Styles Nakamura feud has gone. Rumor has it it's going to turn into an Iron Man match at Money in the Bank. I don't care what they do. Get this feud over or give us a legitimate, technically incredible match that these two are clearly capable of putting on. Because up until this point, they have not done enough to really establish either one of these two as the dominant force over the other. Now, maybe that's intentional. Maybe you want them both to look almost equivalent so that you could build both of them at the same time and hopefully give either one of them the championship in the future. But right now, you got Samoa Joe sitting on SmackDown waiting in the wings. Now, it almost looked like they're going to start a feud with Joe and Big Cass. I don't really understand that even a little. Joe and Daniel Bryan could be done. We haven't seen that in the WWE ring. But Joe and AJ is the one that I know I'm waiting for. Even Joe and Shinsuke, which has been done in NXT, but not in the big stage, would be okay. But they need to do something. They need to move on. They need to give people a reason to tune in every single week. Give it exciting. And when people tune in every week, it leads me to our next topic, the Raw television deal that is being negotiated right now to keep Raw on the USA Network. The reports are that the deal is going to be for roughly triple the money that is currently paid for Raw. So there was a website on Wrestling Inc. where they discussed the financials of what they're talking about here. And that WWE is paid roughly $150 million per year to be on the USA Network for both Raw and SmackDown. They calculated that Raw draws in a bigger percentage of the audience, say it's a 60-40 split, so Raw would get about 60% of the money. And they were talking about how this could equal between $270 and $360 million just for the Raw brand, which is, on a 3-year deal, insane, especially when you consider the fact they still have to sell the SmackDown programming to somebody else for another huge chunk of change. So WWE's in great position. Anybody who plays the stock market, their stock closed over $50 a share, all-time high for WWE. Congrats to them. Made Vince McMahon even richer. Makes me sick to my stomach. I used to have their stock and I sold it in November. Wish I had hung on to it, but whatever. To each his own. But definitely need to put butts in seats if you want to keep making TV deals like this. And SmackDown doesn't put as many butts in seats because they've been booking it so boring. Get on the booking train, people at WWE. Give us something we want to tune in and see. Coincidental to me in the news this week is two former WWE talents that are in the news for very similar reasons, but it's absolutely bizarre. And that is both Enzo Amore and Rich Swann. So you have Enzo out there. He has been completely exonerated, so to speak, of his rape case from October. His case is closed. There's not enough evidence to proceed. So that being said, Enzo is a free agent. There has been conjecture about whether or not Enzo should be brought back to WWE. I'm going to put my opinion out there right now. Absolutely not. Not because he was cleared of the charges. Not because I think he did or didn't do it. but because the reason he was fired had nothing to do with the case. It had to do with his stupidity about not telling WWE about the case the minute he found out about it. That stupidity hasn't gone anywhere. If you don't believe me, check out his latest tweet. It's a picture of him. He's shaved and he looks goofy. That guy is not all there. So if I was somebody in WWE looking at whether I would sign or not sign him again, the answer would be an emphatic absolutely not. Not until he proves that he's going to put the company's long-term interests ahead of his stupidity for not letting them know right up front that there was an investigation into this case. Rich Swann, on the other hand, looks like he's finally making a switch that I'm very appreciative of. I love his work. I think he really got a raw deal. I understand there was some physicality between he and his wife back in January. I get why they wanted to suspend him, but I didn't understand when the investigation was closed, there was no issue, and he wasn't trying to hide anything. He was very cooperative with the police. I didn't understand why things didn't work themselves out. He was let go. He negotiated his release from WWE, but now he's going to be going to Impact Wrestling. He is at their tapings coming up, and he is going to be a part of their roster, and what a great grab for the Impact Wrestling family. I'm very thrilled to know that they're going to have Rich Swann on their roster. I think he, in a lot of ways, brings what Consequences Creed, for those who don't know, that's Xavier Woods now, was to Impact years ago. He's got the attitude, he's got the move set, he's got the swagger about him, and I think that's going to be a great addition to their X division, because I think that's exactly where he fits, is in the X division. The other news of the week, we've got, Jeff Hardy and Randy Orton both are listed on the injury report for the week. So Jeff Hardy was in the United Kingdom. People had the opinion that he must have gotten hurt at some point during a match. He was helped to the back. Big concern. He's been somewhat injury prone in recent years. It turns out nothing to be worried about. He is just fine. He worked the next couple nights of house shows. So Jeff Hardy is fine. However, on the flip side, Randy Orton, confirmed by WWE.com, had to undergo surgery on his knee, had a partially torn meniscus, and that's huge because he'll be out of action for a little while. It sounds like he had the injury since last December, and now he just got it cleaned up. He's going to get himself healthy, get back into the ring, but it complicates some of your plans going forward. I don't know how they have not announced how long they expect him to be out. Hopefully he'd be back in time for SummerSlam. Last time we saw him on TV was losing to Jeff Hardy. So he didn't even go out on a high note, so we want to get him back as soon as possible. A lot of Randy Orton fans out there wondering where he was at SmackDown last week. Well, now you know. He was getting his knee taken care of. I got a lot of questions this week, and I think this ties a lot into the Greatest Royal Rumble, and then it also ties into some of the other conversations, the television deal, the issues with shows like All In and things like that, and that's WWE's money grab philosophy. It kind of ties into what Harold sent us tonight. Thank you again, Harold, for sending the article about eliminating the tag team division because it doesn't put enough butts in seats. It doesn't make enough money. It seems to be right now that WWE is all about the money grab philosophy. The problem is that's a short-sighted way to look at your business. WWE was not a money grab philosophy company in the past. Vince McMahon in the past wanted to make sure and ensure that his company was going to be around now and forever. Vince McMahon made long-term strategic deals that put his company in the best position to be successful for life. And the problem is when you do the money grab philosophy, you anger certain segments of your audience sometimes. For example, you publicize this women's revolution for all these last couple years, and then you go to Saudi Arabia and there's no women on the card. It kind of looks like a contradiction. It looks like there's some kind of a non-mutually exclusive feeling there that WWE should have thought about that ahead of time and negotiated a way for them to appear, even if it was in a very different attire, to be respectful of the culture, but still allowed them to show off the women's wrestling talent. That's how you do things if you're going to do it the right way. Unfortunately, they didn't do that. And we've seen too much of this in the recent years, where WWE is all about the various different the various ways to generate more cash. But then we have people complaining about the programming every week because the programming is all about the money. It's not about the wrestling. We're not even allowed to call them wrestlers anymore. They're sports entertainers. No, they're wrestlers. This is part of why the All In show is going to be so amazing. They're there to wrestle. It's professional wrestling. That's what we're there to see. I don't care if it's high spots, low spots, tie up and toe holds or whatever it is. That's what we pay to see. We don't pay. Somebody said about, there was the big news this week that SmackDown, when they negotiate the new deal, may go to 3 hours also. Not a good idea. People know that I think that Raw should be 2 hours, even though it never will be. Should be 2 hours, simply because there's too much talking. Well, SmackDown has too much talking already. You add another hour, we're just going to get more of it. People are tired of the words. You need some promos. You need some interviews to make your show exciting. But this is too much. They need to move past all the verbiage, all the conversation, and get back into the ring. And you don't always need these long, drawn-out storylines to have a great match. I promise you. If tomorrow they had an episode of some show on the network and it was Kalisto going against Sin Cara and you gave him 45 minutes to wrestle and said, hey, just go out there and give us the best thing you can, I promise you, you'd be talking about it as a match of the year candidate. If they took somebody like Aiden English and put him out there with Tyler Breeze and say, go 40 minutes, they would put on a knockdown, drag-out match. And for those who don't believe me, especially about Tyler Breeze, I encourage you to go back to NXT TakeOver a couple years ago and watch him wrestle against Jushin Thunder Liger. It proves that he's able to put on a phenomenal match when given a little bit of time. And that's the problem. WWE needs to move away from the money grab philosophy and start focusing on the wrestling. The money will come to you because of the wrestling. That's the whole point. People want to be proud. People want to be happy to tune into your program. By the way, in case I haven't said it enough times, please do me a favor. Check out all the articles at Infro's Corner on FroWrestling.com. And that is where I put up all my editorial pieces. I've really been enjoying doing those for you guys, and I hope you like them. If not, give me the feedback. I need to know. If there's a segment that you guys don't like, I want to know about it. That way I can get it out of there. If you do like it, by all means, give me the heads up. Give me some information so I can include that in my planning of each episode. Before we go today, look, it's a busy week. We've got some birthday shout-outs that we got to get out there, and I know some people find it so corny, but I got to. Kevin Von Erich, one of the legendary Von Erich family members, birthday shout out this week. One that I'm very proud of, Big Van Vader, or just Vader, the Mastodon. Happy birthday, Vader. Guy's been having a tough time with the heart condition and all the surgery. Happy birthday, Vader. Dr. Death Steve Williams. It would have been his birthday this week. And two current WWE superstars, Zack Ryder and Mike Kanellis. Happy birthday to all you guys. I hope they enjoyed their weeks, did something a little different, did something a little crazy, and just have a great week. Everybody, that is all the time we have for this episode. Make sure you check back with us next episode. We always try to run down all the latest wrestling news and rumors. Special thanks as always out to bensound.com and purpleplanet.com. They're the ones who produce all the music and sound effects used in the shows. Today's podcast was sponsored in part by Beazle Games. Bringing a new friend to family game night is easy with sketchy people. Showcase your artistic side in this game from Beazle Games by going to FroWrestling.com and clicking the icon in the middle of the screen to pick up your copy today. I've played the game. It's a great game. Check it out. Kind of like a cross between Pictionary and Chutes and Ladders. Fun for the whole family. Get into that. Also, AlleyRepair.com. Contact Alley Repair today for servicing of all your classic skee-ball, pinball, and arcade game needs. This guy does amazing work. If you have those types of needs, get in touch with him. The guy's name's Mark. He's amazing. If you're looking for your next career move and you're considering college, university life, or you just need some formal training for your next career decision, go to our website, www.frolifeplanning.com for your higher education needs, as Fro Life Educational Planning is for today, for tomorrow, and for life with Fro Life. I'm Fred Froelich, better known as Mr. Fro. I want to thank you for taking a few moments with us today, and if you want to make sure you get in on the latest news and rumors in the world of professional wrestling, go to www.tsj101sports.com for the latest articles. And if you want to check out my editorials, shoot over to Infro's Corner, found on FroWrestling.com. Every Tuesday and Wednesday-ish is when I try to get those out to you. And until next time, everybody, have a great night. Take care. Check out that all-in merchandise. It's amazing. Check it out at FroWrestling.com. Have a great night, everybody. Take care. Peace out.